Hello, welcome back to Riding with Ree and welcome to my slightly chaotic home office where I've been spending a lot of my time due to the lockdown working from home. Today I'm going to show you how much it costs to actually own a horse, a monthly breakdown of every single cost that are associated with owning horses. As some of you may know, before I decided to shed head, I looked into the cost of owning or loaning a horse full-time, and I did a lot of research and I created a template, a budget template that I'm going to take you through today. I've linked out the template below so you can follow along and adjust your numbers depending on your horse and your needs and decide how much it would cost for you to own a horse. So let's get straight into the spreadsheet and I'll explain it as we go along. So just to give you a run through of the spreadsheet, I'm going to take you through the cost of part livery, 5-day livery here on the left, assisted DIY here in the middle, and DIY here. We are going to look at the expenses, so all the things that you're going to pay for, the cost of those items, the frequency to which you use them, and the monthly cost of those items. I'm also breaking down feed and hay and bedding for you. This one here is just all of the numbers filled in so that I can paste them straight across and make things quicker for you. The great thing is that once we have figured out the maths here in part livery, we are able to copy and paste quite a lot of the numbers over to assisted DIY and DIY livery. If you are looking for one in particular, there are timestamps in the description. Worth noting that I am based in London, Surrey in the United Kingdom, and it is quite an expensive area to own a horse. The proximity to London just makes everything more expensive. There are also costs in here that I would pay for that other owners wouldn't pay for, and that is completely fine. So I've got lessons in here, I've got transport, full set of shoes, etc. Some people don't need those things, so just take them out. If you are one of the lucky people who doesn't need those things, that is going to save you quite a bit more money. Yours is going to be cheaper than mine. All right, let's get into here. So firstly, you're going to write down the costs. I have figured all of these out already, so I'm going to paste them in and then let's talk about it. So 5-day livery in London, that is 5 days where somebody else is turning out your horse, bringing in your horse, mucking out, and occasionally other things on top, so rug changes and hooves being picked out, etc. It's going to cost you around £450. In this one, we are assuming that assistant, so that is someone doing the work for you, is included because it is 5 days, and hay, bedding are included as well. The feed number here is the cost of the bags of feed themselves. We're going to work out the monthly cost together shortly. And then as we go down, we have supplements. So some horses, again, do not need supplements. So if your horse doesn't need supplements, put a big fat 0 there. Well done, you have saved yourself £10 a month already, and we haven't even begun. Farrier here, that is the cost of a full set of shoes. The rest of them I will let you look at yourself. And as I said, lessons and transport. This number here is the cost of a private lesson. If you are having group lessons, it will be cheaper. If you are doing a clinic on your horse, it's going to be around £10, so much cheaper. So do make that adjustment. This transport number is the cost of getting your horse driven around all day by someone. So if you have your own horse box, that's going to be a big fat 0. If you are sharing with someone, it's going to be half the price. If you don't need a horse box all day, it's going to be much less. So make that adjustment as needed. And then we have travel, in case, and rug repairs. Travel is the cost of getting you to the yard. So if you are not lucky enough to have your horses at home, I wish I did, but I do not, then you need to pay to get to the yard. So that could be car costs, it could be the cost of a train fare, a bus fare, etc. Just pop some money in there depending on what that would cost you. And then you have your in-case fund and your rug repairs. Rug repairs is pretty obvious. Most people won't need to do it that often, but it's good to have it in there. And your in-case fund is super important. So horses are super unpredictable, and I'm sure you've heard all these scary stories about vet bills. That is why we have horse insurance, which is also on here. But there are other things you may need to pay for. You may have something broken, you may have something stolen, a piece of tack, etc. It's worth having in there. So then you're going to put the frequency to which you use these items or pay for these items. The reason we do that is because some of these costs are not monthly. So you don't get a set of shoes every month, you get them every 6 to 8 weeks. I've put 6 weeks in here because I'm being conservative. But in order to work out your monthly cost, you first need to work out how often you pay for it and then do a little bit of maths to work out the monthly cost. I've already done the maths, so don't worry about that. I'm going to paste in the frequency here, and then I'm going to paste in the monthly numbers, and then let's talk about how I got there. Livery, as you can see, is monthly. Assistance, hay, bedding, I've ignored. The feed is a cost per bag, supplements is cost per box. Down here it's every 6 weeks, once a year, twice a year, etc. Keep reading down those, or do pause the video if you would like a closer look. And then the costs over here, I've added all of these costs based on their monthly cost. So for example, for the farrier here, I know that it's £75 every 6 weeks. So what you're going to do is divide 75 by 6 to get your weekly figure. Once you have your weekly figure, you are timesing that by 4 to get your monthly figure, and your monthly figure here is £50. Do that with all of these. The only real complex one for maths is feed and supplements, so I'm going to do that with you. Let's jump into the feed tab. So obviously feed completely depends on the breed of horse, the work they're doing, the age of them, etc. But I've picked some pretty standard feed just to show you a general cost of owning a horse. So I have Spiller's Horse and Pony Nuts, and I have Alpha A Chaff from Denji. So you're going to put down the cost of the bag. So for Alpha A, that is £13.50. Then you're going to put down the weight per bag, and that weight per bag is going to allow you to work out how many servings in a bag you have, and therefore how many days that bag will last. So this bag is 20 kilograms a bag, and we need about 1.5 kilograms a day for a medium horse, which means that we get 14 servings or 14 days worth of feed out of that bag. So 14 days is 2 weeks, which means you need 2 bags per month to give your horse all the food that they need. So 2 times £13.50 is 27. Same with the horse and pony nuts. It's £9.50 a bag, it's 20 kilograms a bag. You need 3 kilograms a day, which means that you get 7 servings or 7 days worth of feed out of one bag, which means that you need 4 bags a month to get you through. 4 times £9.50 is 38, which makes your total feed cost. So if your cost for Alpha A per month is 27 and your cost for pony nuts is 38, your total cost is 65. Very similar for supplements. It is £11.35 per box. The weight is 1 kilogram. The weight per day is 50 grams. 2 25-gram scoops, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. Your servings, therefore, per box are 20, which means you need about 2.5 boxes a month, which is £11.35 times 2.5, which is £28.30. So we're going to add all of these up.
So we have
£872.60. So pretty expensive. It is definitely up there in the top end, having someone caring for your horse. Let's jump into assisted DIY. This is cheaper, and it's also going to be much quicker for us to work out. We are changing the cost of the livery, we are adding assistance, we are adding our hay and our bedding. Everything else stays the same. So very, very simple. So let's throw the ones that we know in here. So we know all of these at the bottom are staying the same. So assisted DIY livery in London is going to set you back about £150. Assistance. Now this is where you have somebody else helping you with your horse. So that could be mucking out, it could be turning your horse out, it could be bringing your horse in. Usually to have your horse mucked out, it's about £5. To have a horse turned out or brought in is about £2.50. So let's say that you need help with your horse 3 times a week, you need them mucking out for you. So 3 times 5 is £15 a week. £15 a week is £60 a month. Now your hay and your bedding, I am going to presume that my horse is going to be on hay and straw, and let's say that we're using these small bales, so the ones with 2 sets of string, they're quite small. So again, to work that out, we're going to go in the hay and bedding tab. So for both of these, they cost around £3.50 a bale. Let's say that for every bale, your horse goes through 1/3 of a bale a day. Now that is going to go up slightly maybe in the winter and down in the summer, and should even itself out across the year. If your horse uses 1/3 of a bale a day, they are going through about 2.5 bales a week, which if you times that by 4 to get your monthly cost is 10 bales a month. 10 times £3.50, the cost of 1 bale, is £35. So it is £35 for your hay and your straw. So 35. Okay, let's add all of these numbers up, and they come to £702.60. So quite a bit less expensive than 5-day livery. And finally, let's move over to DIY. Now the only thing that we are changing for DIY is we are just taking out the assistance, so that becomes naught. So your cost for DIY is £642.60. Now it's worth noting that whilst these sound expensive, £110 a month in my budget is going towards lessons and transport. So if you don't need those things, you are already saving £110 a month. So your biggest cost really is just your livery and deciding what kind of livery you want. If you've had a look at this and you've decided that you don't have the money or the time to get a horse yourself, there are other options available to you. You could loan a horse all year and see how you get on with the financial and the time commitments. It is not ideal, obviously, to give a loan horse back after a short period of time. It messes owners around and it's not pleasant for the horses or for you. But loaning a horse is a good way to see if you have the ability to own a horse one day, and it is better than buying a horse and then deciding 2 months later that you don't have the money or the time to care for it. One step down from that is sharing a horse, which is what I do with Ted. I have a whole video on sharing and loaning horses and the costs involved, so have a look at that. If you're not quite up to sharing a horse, you don't have the ability or the money there, the other option is lessons. Lessons are an amazing way to connect with horses, improve your riding without the massive cost involved in owning a horse yourself. So that is another option. Ultimately, you want to do what is best for you financially, be responsible with your money and your time, and ultimately with horses, their welfare should always be your first port of call. I hope that you have found this video useful. If you did, do give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Ted is my first horse share and I'm sharing all of my tips, tricks and fails as I go along, how I balance him alongside my full-time career in central London. I hope you stick around. I will see you next week. Bye.